For some of the most pivotal years of my life, tears were tucked back and hidden behind a masquerade of being tough, being a warrior, someone who could hustle, work hard, and get things done. But it wasn't until I started to get more in tune with who I really am that things took off in my business. Welcome to I Might Cry, a podcast exploring how heart, mind, body, and spirit are all deeply woven into the way we do business. With guest interviews from experts in business strategy, therapy, emotional intelligence, the human body, and so much more. I'm your host, Elizabeth Marks of Almond Leaf Studios. I've been capturing luxury weddings around the globe for decades and now have the privilege of educating others on how to build and grow profitable business doing what they love. I'm on a journey of self-discovery, of becoming more of the uniquely beautiful, messy, and complex human that I was created to be, and I want to invite you to do the same. Join me on this adventure of uncovering the walls we've built that keep us stuck in patterns of limitation so that we can journey into living life with arms and hearts wide open. Let's venture into this together. Oh, the birds are chirping. I'm sure you can hear them in the background. The wind is blowing and I'm stepping into the office just feeling grounded and refreshed after a weekend that, to be honest, felt a little challenging. And I'm excited on today's episode to just kind of walk you through a couple of different practices that I've been doing that have really transformed my life and the way that I do business. So first, let's pause and back up and just let you know that I have a free Facebook group that we have revived recently. It is called Consistent Income for Creatives. And I'd love to invite you to join. Feel free to go to the show notes and click to join and request access if you're not in there. We are dropping daily content Monday through Friday, every single week in there. My team is helping me, supporting me in doing that. And we've got some amazing things in store already for this coming month. So if you're not in there already, it's Consistent Income for Creatives. If you are a creative entrepreneur, I'd love to have you join. Okay, so first I want to back up and just share about this weekend. I had somebody comment and give me some information that really was not hard, but for some reason I let it trigger this old pattern, these old beliefs for me. And I started to notice that I was going into this spiral. You know, David and I just recorded an episode that's probably been released by the time that you're hearing this one. And it was all about noticing your thoughts, noticing what's happening, and not allowing it to mean anything about you, not allowing the beliefs, the old patterns to be triggered and to be stirred up by the thoughts that you're having. And so really kind of having a little more, not control, but just allowing yourself to be exactly where you are and what's happening. And so I had this thing happen where I was a little bit triggered by things and I just started to spiral. I just started to unravel. And so this morning I just recommitted again and again. I keep recommitting over and over. That's part of this journey of life, right? It's just the recommitting over and over. And I recommitted again to going back to some of the practices that I know really ground me, that help me feel really amazing in my body, really amazing in business, that I notice that I see consistent results happen in my business as well. So I got up, I try to drink a lot of water. I don't even need to get into all the details of it, but there's some essential practices that I've noticed that have made a big difference in my life. So let me back up now and just kind of tell you the story. So in January, I committed to 55 days. It was a kind of a challenge of 55 days of doing a few specific things in my life. And what happened during that time was really mind-blowing. It was truly kind of magical. I've started to want to call it my magical morning practice, but it's really more than the morning. It's all throughout the day. And it's really just kind of coming back to yourself throughout the day. What I noticed, let's talk first about the results because the results are sexy and that's going to make you want to do it. So first, let me just share about the results of what happened and how it felt to have all of that happen that month. So I just did the books again recently, just kind of looked back over them. And in the month of January, we brought in $22,000 of business just for photography and videography, not for education side of our business. $22,000. Now I'm sharing that and it feels really crazy and weird to share that for me because if you know me and have been following me for a while, you know that my money story is a very complicated, messy one coming from some poverty in my childhood and continuing to heal a lot of money wounds. So it feels really kind of strange to share that, but it feels safe to do so. I trust you with that information. I also want you to know that I'm not sharing that saying like, oh, just do these 5 things and then you get to have this money. It's a lot more complicated than that, just like everything in life. Like I'm just not here to prescribe like, oh, do X, Y, and Z, and then that equals this. But for us in our story and our journey, that brought in $22,000 in the month of January. So what was I doing? Like, why is this so celebrated? First, let me also just say it felt amazing. Like, I don't know that I have ever felt so good in my body, like just having more energy, feeling more alive. It felt like business was happening and it was easy. I felt like I had time with my kids. I didn't feel stretched thin. I didn't feel pulled in a million different directions. It felt just easy and I felt grounded. And anytime that it started to feel a little unsettling, I knew exactly what to do to come back to that. Okay, so here is the challenge that I did. I am recommitting to do this again for myself, and I want to invite you to do it as well if it calls to you. Obviously, take whatever feels good to you, try that on for size, leave whatever does not feel aligned for you, just like with anything in anything that I teach or any of the education that we do. Okay, so beginning, the first step is drinking a lot of water, making sure that you're drinking water. It sounds so basic, but like it is a basic human need. And the majority of us just are not drinking a lot of water. So committing to drinking enough water every single day is a big part of it. For me, it was exercising at least 45 minutes every single day. Don't care what you do or how you do it. I've in the past talked about a company that I've used called Mama Strong. Those are 15-minute workouts. For those of you who are parents, I think they now have a Papa Strong too. It's really great at getting your heart rate up and just breaking a sweat and then moving through the day and kind of helping your core kind of come back to a place that feels really supported. So you could do a 15-minute workout every day. You could make your goal just to break a sweat every day. You could make it goal whatever feels good to you. For me, it was a 45-minute workout every single day to make sure that I was doing that and breaking a sweat in some capacity. The next thing is eating intentionally. I'm not here to sell you on like any certain kind of diet or any certain kind of way of living your life, but I do think that eating intentionally can be really supportive to your body, to your nervous system, and which then correlates to your business, that your business gets supported when you're supporting your own personhood, your own physical body as well. So eating intentionally, journaling every single day, just checking in with myself, with my thoughts, allowing my thoughts to just be put pen to paper, like physical pen to paper journaling. And the reason for that is that there's this integration that happens when you are moving your hand and getting what is in your brain out onto paper. There's something really beautiful that happens. It really begins to integrate like the thoughts and the feelings. And you might be surprised at what comes up. Sometimes for me, this was something we call sandwich journaling that I teach inside of the art of booking. I've taught to some of the coaching clients that I have, which is essentially this, that you begin with like gratitude, like here's some things I'm grateful for. Then you dive into fears. So it's one full page of gratitude, one full page of fears. And then the third page is really reframing those fears back to a positive, so it could be kind of playfully teasing about the fears. Like, isn't it so cute that my brain did this and that I am convincing myself that this doesn't get to work for me or that I'm never going to have the success? Or isn't it cute that my brain wants to remind me of this pattern of like feeling not enough or feeling not worthy or feeling like, success gets to happen for others and not for me, whatever that thing is, you can be kind of teasing that way. You can reframe it to a positive and say like, I'm afraid of this. And then you're reframing it to like, I choose to believe that this gets to be true for me or that this is the truth. So there's a million ways to do that. That's kind of the pattern of sandwich journaling. So you can do sandwich journaling. You can do just free form, like writing, whatever that might be. But journaling is a big piece of that. And then for me, it was also including a tapping. And if you've followed me for a while, you probably know my obsession now with EFT or tapping, emotional freedom technique. If you don't know, you can go back to a previous episode. There's a couple different ones where there's one that I actually am like giving a free episode of tapping, and then one that is really kind of walking through the history, like what it is, why it works, but it's essentially rewiring those neural pathways. For me, during that month, I actually had focused primarily on tappings that helped me reformat my brain around money, around being in a place of receiving, not being in this kind of hustle, drive, power through, push hard kind of culture that most entrepreneurs teach, that most entrepreneurs like end up experiencing in their journey. I think we often get really hard on ourselves and push through and power through and like hustle harder, even when we actually just need rest. We actually just need to like sink back and like come into our bodies and feel more alive and be aware of like, what are we feeling and where is that landing in your body? And how are you holding space for whatever it is that you're feeling and experiencing today? So for me, I focus the tapping on receiving money and allowing myself to be open and being in a place of receiving. There's a million free tappings out there. You can literally just Google like tapping for money or tapping for wealth or tapping for releasing anxiety or tapping for whatever it is that you're needing. But that was a huge part of the practice for me. And there were days that it was easier than others. There were days that it was harder than others to make sure that I was consistent at all of these things. But let me just tell you, I mean, first of all, the outward outcome of $22,000, like that's pretty amazing. And I just want to pause and celebrate that. That's incredible. It's amazing. Now, yes, it was booking season and we had a lot of bookings coming in and there was like unexpected album sales and there was lots of days that I was like surprised and delighted at how the universe showed up after having done some of those practices, like completely unexpected places where money came through. Like, for example, there was one day that I had done this like journaling and tapping around money and allowing the universe to surprise me and delight me, and not just in a way that is like, here's all the expected places, because that's what our brains immediately do. We're like, oh yeah, cool. Well, if my goal is $10,000, if I just had 2 bookings come through or 1 booking or whatever that might be, then I would have the deposit and I would have $10,000. Like that's how it's going to happen for me, right? Like we immediately go to trying to figure out how it's going to happen, but there's no like magic in that. There's no like mystery and, like romance in that experience. If your partner just always did only what you wanted, like if you articulated like, I want this, and then they did that and they never showed up and surprised you or never delighted you with like unexpected gifts or unexpected time together or whatever that version is of the way that you enjoy romance, that sets you up for a pretty like stale relationship. Like things are going to start to feel a little stagnant, a little stale. And I like to think about, the relationship with the universe or God, source, whatever you would like to call it, as being the same thing. So for me, that invitation was really like, how and where can I be surprised and delighted for money to show up, not just in the expected places, because I'm welcome that too, but also to be surprised and delighted. And then what happened for me is within, I think it was that same day, it might've been the next day. I don't really remember the specifics, but somebody reached out, a father of a bride from like 7 years ago, reached out, asked if he could purchase some albums. And I was like, sure. So we activated a gallery for him. We kind of told him like what to do and what the process was. I had all these temptations because he said he wanted to purchase an album for his daughter as well as for himself. And so I had all these temptations to be like, well, here's a discount code, since you're ordering more than one. And I was like, no, like I'm going to stand in my worthiness and I'm going to just like let him choose what he wants to choose. And if he has any questions, then we can talk about that. And so what happened is he ordered 3 albums, which my albums are not cheap, you guys. So I had this huge influx of cash that came in that day from this completely unexpected place. And so that's just my little nudge to you to maybe consider setting up a practice, being consistent, not just in like our marketing and the way that we're showing up online, but also with the practices that we're doing behind the scenes really has such a huge impact on us and on how much enjoyment we have in our life, how we show up, our emotional stamina, our emotional strength, as well as like just sinking back and being in a place of receiving, trusting that it's all working out beautifully, that you get to have all the things that your heart is longing for, that because the desire is in your heart, that it is meant for you and your success is inevitable, right? So that's my little nudge to you today. I hope that you find that helpful. For me, those things are practices that I'm diving back into and I'm committing to myself to continue practicing them. Again, that is drinking plenty of water. Ideally, getting enough sleep is a huge part of that too. But, as a working parent, that's not always possible. And just being easy on yourself too, like as you move through these pieces, that if you fall off the bandwagon, you just get right back on the next day. And it's not a big deal. And you don't have to judge yourself. You don't have to be hard on yourself and like feel like you need to start it all over. I think that being gentle and generous with ourselves is really important in this process too. But again, just to recap, it's drinking enough water, getting some exercise, breaking a sweat, or doing a 45-minute workout every day, whatever that looks like for you, eating intentionally, doing a tapping every single day, and journaling every single day as well. So I hope you find that helpful. I would love for you to DM me. Let me know if you decide to do this and how it's going for you and what you experience because of that, how good you feel in your body or how challenging it is for you because maybe you're breaking some old patterns. There's all kinds of things that can come up. But when those things come up for us, they are usually coming up for a reason. And I like to think of them as an opportunity to allow more healing to come too. So hope you find that helpful. Thanks for joining me today. If there's anything specific that you would like to hear on this podcast moving forward, please reach out, DM us and let us know, or anyone that you would love to hear from. We love hosting pretty amazing guests on this podcast as well. So love to hear from you. And if you find this helpful, please, again, send it to a friend or leave us a review. That helps the more of the people that need to hear all of this information get to know more about us and allow us to support them on their journey. My heart in this is to love and to encourage creative entrepreneurs, any creative that wants to grow a business of something that they're passionate about, something they're really good at, to give them the tools to allow it to be filled with like profit, actually making profit and making sure that it's allowing them to live the lifestyle that they want. Because I think profit is just something that most of us as creatives don't really understand. So allowing them to structure their business with profit, but then also with peace, really allowing peace to be a huge part, a permeating part of your world, your business, your life, your experience. And when you get stuck in that hustle culture and you're not enoughness or not making enough, that's really hard to experience that peace. So that's my passion. And I would love for you to share it with somebody that maybe could use a little nudge of that as well, that peace and profit both get to be yours. So, all right, until next time, sending you love and light.
If you enjoyed this podcast today, do us a favor and hit subscribe and then leave us a review. If you're looking for more, you can find us at almondleafstudios.com or on Instagram at almondleaf. Remember, you are enough. You are love, you are light, and you are worthy simply because you exist.